Hey everybody, welcome back. This week we're talking about how nostalgia is a form of self-pity. Last week I made a tweet that said nostalgia is a form of self-pity. It got a lot of retweets. Well, a lot of retweets for me. So maybe 4 or 5. And I got some feedback on it. I got some questions explaining how does this work. I mean, people I think felt that it was true, but they couldn't really explain how it was true. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how nostalgia is just a form of self-pity. I got the idea to make this tweet because I was looking at a bunch of like guru mindset bros uh, talking about, oh, things used to be so much better. Well, first they say depression doesn't exist. It's all in your mind. Just go out and go for a run and lift weights and have a protein shake, and the depression will simply lift. So first they say that, then in another tweet they'll turn around and talk about how life used to be so much better and put pictures of guys from the 50s who were tough and then guys from today who are weak and say, oh, look, men used to be so much tougher. And I'm thinking, you know what? You are depressed. You just can't see it in yourself. You only see it in the external world. This is what I was talking about last week with the coronavirus, how we take our own fears that are about something that's very difficult to talk about, something very personal, something that may go back to early childhood, something that deep down we may feel like we can't really confront this fear. But we still need to talk about the fear, right? I mean, we just can't turn away from the anxiety, so we project the anxiety out onto the coronavirus, for instance, or spiders if you're a millennial woman. I'm not saying that there's no reason to be afraid of spiders, and I'm not saying there's no reason to be afraid of the coronavirus. I'm not an epidemiologist, like I said, but I think if you do find yourself being engrossed in the anxiety around the media and the coronavirus, then it's probably not about the coronavirus, right? It's about your own anxiety. And I see the same thing with nostalgia, and I see it as really just another form of self-pity. So, I mean, what is nostalgia? I mean, let's just define these two terms, and I think we see how they are related. Nostalgia is yearning for a time. And by definition of what nostalgia is, it's a time that you cannot get back. There's nothing you can do. Now, what's self-pity? It is yearning for this part of you that will never be expressed, that you can never develop. That's why Nietzsche says that pity is a form of self-contempt. So why do you feel pity for somebody else? You're essentially saying, man, if I was in your situation, there's nothing I would be able to do to change. So if you feel pity for yourself, you're saying, hey, me, if I was in your situation, there's nothing I would be able to do to change. Oh, crap. I am in my situation. There's nothing I can do to change. And nostalgia is just self-pity, but like the coronavirus, right? We project our fear out as self-pity, projected out. And there's just a few examples of this. So women are undateable. You see this a lot with MGTOW, but you see the same kind of self-pity around guys who aren't even MGTOW. Women aren't dateable. Let's go back to 1955. They don't do the things that I want anymore because of feminism, because of culture, because of Hollywood, right? Project that anxiety onto something else. Anything besides you will come up with something to project that anxiety on. But really what you're saying is, I can't find a woman who's dateable for me. Or when I do go out with a woman, I can't communicate with her about what's important. I mean, maybe you want a woman who cooks and cleans like it's 1955. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But the problem is you have a difficult time communicating that, or you go out with a girl and you do communicate it, probably not a helpful way because you're out of touch with yourself, because you project your self-pity out as nostalgia, and it doesn't work. The one time you bring it up, she gets angry and you think, well, I just can't get through here. This is clearly not a problem with me. This is a problem with culture. Or life used to be so much more simple before social media. Really? Was it? Or was life just kind of boring and you're getting distracted by social media and you project it out to be this huge problem? I mean, maybe it is. But you don't really know that. I mean, you're not looking at the stats, at social media stats and distraction stats or anxiety stats when you're making that tweet or when you're making that point. All you're really doing is looking in on yourself. There's a part of me who I don't like. part of me that I don't like, excuse me. Yeah, maybe somebody in me who I don't like. But can't look at that. I need to keep this persona of being a guru, of being this mindset training guru. So I'm going to talk about it like it's everybody else's problem. Then there's, men used to be tougher, like I said, and this usually, like I mentioned, incorporates a gallery of all the best examples of men from 1935 and all the worst examples of men from today. Or you also see this with women. Oh, women used to be so much prettier. All the worst examples of women from today compared with all the best examples of women from 1935. I don't know. Just as a side point, if you go back and look at women from 1935, they weren't that attractive. It's very clear to me women are much more attractive now. I don't know. So these are just things that guys will do to distract themselves from their own self-pity, because that's a terrifying thought to think, well, maybe there is depression there. It's also important to keep in mind, I guess this just goes along with the point I made last week, is, when you find yourself talking about the world, I mean, maybe you're talking about the world, but maybe you're also simply talking about yourself, and you don't know how to talk about yourself. You've been out of touch with what's going on with you for a really long time because you, I don't know, maybe you had a difficult patch in your life. I know I did. And you go on the internet and all you get now is stoicism and turn away from your emotions and mindset training, mind over matter, instead of, well, no, look, just because depression is a real thing doesn't mean you can't do anything about it. Let's learn about depression. Let's learn about emotions, how these things operate. And, that's what we do here at Animus. I mean, we're not going to get to the root of these issues. Whether depression is real, we're not going to get to the root of that until we figure out what depression is, how it operates specifically, how it relates possibly with anxiety, how that relates with your identity, with your ego, a term that, of course, I do not use in the pejorative sense. Your sense of self, your identity, that's important. It's important to have a strong ego. And another side point, when people use ego in the pejorative, usually what they're talking about is insecurities. Okay, so you're this young man out in the world, you go on the internet to find information. Well, you go to the therapist, that probably doesn't help for reasons that I'm not even going to get into in this video. So then you go on the internet and guys are using ego in the pejorative sense. They're in a sense linking up your sense of self with insecurity. So anytime I project out a sense of self, I'm insecure. What's going on? It's confusing. You can't look at your depression, so you project it out as nostalgia. I'm not really denigrating anybody for doing this, but hey, we got to understand exactly what's going on and exactly where nostalgia comes from. Also, I want to add, I got 500 subscribers this week, or I reached 500 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for that. That's awesome. I mean, I'd be happy with 5. I'd be happy with whatever people, however many people choose to watch these videos. I just appreciate it all. So I'm going to keep giving you guys, the best psychological content, really, or the most clear, the most abstract yet concrete, the most simple, the most elegant psychological information out there on the internet, at least my view of what that could look like. And yeah, I just appreciate it a lot. So thank you for that. And I'll leave it there. Like and continue to subscribe, and always remember to go along with what I talked about last week. When you're talking about something out in the world, something going on out there, whether it's politics, whether it's culture, whether it's men being men or women are undateable, that's fine, but just be sure that you are not, in truth, simply talking about yourself.